In 1879, a 16-year-old boy left his father's farm bound for Detroit. At a time when the only means of transportation were trains or horse carriages, and the first automobiles were mostly seen as racing machines for the rich, this boy would later open a car company that would change the course of the automobile industry to what we know today. 35 years later, after his arrival in Detroit, half of all the cars on Earth were carrying his name. And that boy, Henry Ford, would become one of the wealthiest men in American history. This is that story.
In 1899, a 36-year-old engineer quit a comfortable, well-paying job to chase a dream everyone around him thought was reckless. He had a wife, a young son, and zero guarantee any of this would work. By the time he died, his name would be on more cars than any other person in history. But to get there, he'd have to fail. Not once, not twice, 3 times. This is the story of how a farm boy, obsessed with machines, built one of the most powerful companies on Earth and changed the way the entire world moves. This is how a mechanic built Ford. Henry Ford was born in 1863 on a farm just outside Dearborn, Michigan. His father expected him to grow up, take over the land, and live the same life generations of Fords had lived before him. Henry had other plans. From the time he was a kid, he wasn't interested in crops or livestock. He was interested in machines. By age 12, he'd basically built himself a small workshop. By 15, he built his first steam engine from scratch, completely self-taught. The story that really tells you who he was happened when he was 13. His father gave him a pocket watch as a gift. Most kids would have just worn it. Henry took it apart to see how it worked, and then put it back together. Word got around the neighborhood, and soon people were bringing him their broken watches to fix. He wasn't a watchmaker. He just couldn't leave a machine alone without understanding it. At 16, he did something his father never approved of. He walked away from the farm and went to Detroit to find work in the machine shops. He became an apprentice machinist, learning the trade hands-on. No formal engineering degree, just years of grinding through real mechanical work. He'd go back to the farm occasionally to help out, tinkering with engines in his spare time. But the city and machines kept pulling him back. By his late 20s, Ford landed a serious job, chief engineer at the Edison Illuminating Company in Detroit. This was a big deal. Stable salary, respected position, a real career. And here's the thing. Ford could have just stayed there, climbed the ladder, lived comfortably. Nobody would have blamed him. Instead, every night after his shift ended, he went home and worked on something nobody asked him to build. A horseless carriage powered by a gasoline engine. In 1896, working out of a brick shed behind his house, he finished it. A strange little vehicle called the quadricycle. Picture a wooden frame bolted onto 4 bicycle wheels with a small engine attached. It wasn't elegant. It barely fit through the shed's door. Ford reportedly had to knock down part of the wall just to get it outside, but it ran, and that changed everything for him. Around this time, Ford got the validation that pushed him over the edge. He met Thomas Edison. Yes, that Edison, his own boss's namesake, at a company event and described his gasoline engine idea. Most people at the time believed electric vehicles were the future, not gasoline ones. Edison disagreed. He told Ford he was on the right track and to keep pushing. For a guy without an engineering degree, working a day job, building cars in a shed at night, hearing that from Thomas Edison meant everything. Here's the part most people don't know. Ford Motor Company wasn't Henry Ford's first company. It was his third. In 1899, he quit his stable engineering job to start the Detroit Automobile Company with a group of investors. It sounded promising. It collapsed within about 18 months. The cars they built were inconsistent, overpriced for what they offered. And Ford, already a perfectionist, kept trying to improve the design instead of just shipping product. Investors got frustrated. The company folded. Most people would have taken that as a sign to go back to a steady job. Ford tried again. In 1901, he started the Henry Ford Company. Same pattern. His backers wanted a simple, affordable car to sell quickly and start making money. Ford wanted to obsess over racing cars and push engineering boundaries. The relationship fell apart, and Ford walked away from the company he'd just put his name on. It later got reorganized into something else entirely. What we know today as Cadillac. 2 failed companies. A reputation among Detroit's investor class as difficult to work with. Most stories would end here, but Ford had built something valuable during this stretch that didn't show up on any balance sheet. reputation through racing. He designed and personally raced cars, including one called Sweepstakes, and beat a well-known rival on a track in front of a crowd. Then, in 1904, driving a car called the 999, he set a world speed record on the frozen ice of Lake St. Clair. People paid attention. Ford wasn't just some failed business partner anymore. He was the guy building fast, capable machines. In June 1903, Ford tried a third time. This time, instead of wealthy industrialists calling the shots, he raised money from a smaller group of regular investors, about $28,000 total, which was a modest sum even by the standards of the day. Ford Motor Company was born. The first car rolled off about a month later. Production was slow and manual. Small teams of workers assembling vehicles essentially by hand, piecing together parts ordered from outside suppliers. Nothing about it looked like the industrial giant it would become. For the first few years, Ford built different models, slowly building the company's reputation for reliability. But the real turning point came in 1908, with a car that would redefine the entire industry, the Model T. It was simple. It was tough. It was relatively easy to repair, and critically, it was priced for ordinary people, not just the wealthy. At a time when cars were largely toys for the rich, Ford built one a working family could realistically save up for. Demand exploded, but demand created a new problem. Ford couldn't build cars fast enough using the old hand-built method, so he did something that would change manufacturing forever. In 1913, Ford introduced the moving assembly line. Instead of small teams building one car from start to finish, each worker performed one specific task as the car moved down the line toward them. The result was staggering. Production time and cost dropped dramatically, and Ford could finally make cars at the scale the demand required. By the late 1910s, half of all cars on American roads were Model Ts. Here's what's easy to forget about Henry Ford. He wasn't the guy who invented the automobile. He wasn't even first to build one. What he had was something rarer: the refusal to quit after two companies had already failed, and the stubbornness to keep rebuilding even when investors, partners, and entire business ventures gave up on him. A farm kid who couldn't leave a broken watch alone became the man who put America on wheels. Not because his first idea worked, but because his third one finally did. If you enjoyed this story, the next one might surprise you even more. Subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.